Hey Python enthusiasts, welcome back to our channel. If you are new here, no worries, you are in the right place. Today we are going to dive deep into super cool feature of Python, the list comprehensions. So, a list comprehensions, these are powerful, flexible tools that's going to change the way you manage and manipulate lists. But hey, don't worry if you are a beginner. We are going to walk through this together, step by step, keeping it simple and enjoyable as Python itself. So, lean back, grab a cup of coffee, and let's get some code. Let's code some Python, guys. So, list comprehensions. What exactly are list comprehensions? So, a list comprehension is a way of writing lists that is easy and concise. So, lists are just incredible features of Python that I think they have been making their way into other programming languages slowly over time. They let you take a for loop and condense it down into just one statement in a way that is actually pretty readable. So we won't start with the list comprehensions, we'll start with the basic list and then see how list comprehensions are easy to manipulate lists in Python. So let's say I'm creating a list of names. So names is equals to, we say John, say something like James, something like Brian, something like Doe. So this is a list of names. So basically, a list of names is just a data structure that carries data types in enclosed brackets. So you can see these enclosed brackets. So if anyone who is typing along, you can use whatever names you want. So what if I want to build a list that maybe contains all the names but in uppercase format? So uppercase means that all the characters are in uppercase format. So what do we do? So we start. So what do you do if you want to create an upper? So you start with a for loop. I hope everyone knows what a for loop is. So a for loop basically takes in each item in a list and does something to it. So what are we doing here? So for name in names. So for name in names. So what do we want to do with the name? So we want to uppercase this name. So let me first create a temporary variable here, uppercase underscore name is equals to, we take the name, then we call the dot. You can see all the methods that are available on strings. You can see there is the capitalize, there is the ends with. So we want to uppercase this. So there is a method called upper, which returns the uppercased format of a string. So then what do you do if you want to add something into? So basically what we are doing now is that you are basically looping and not storing anywhere. So we can create a variable here. Can say names in uppercase. So you can see the way. So we create an empty list, and then when looping over, so looping over means we are going through each item in a list. So when looping over, we create a temporary variable here that is called uppercase name. We take the name and make it to uppercase. So by this case, let's say we have John. So this one will take John and uppercase it to be John. So that's what we are doing. Then in the next loop, it will take the second item, which is James. This one. So that's what we expect the loop to do. So after taking that, how do we add an item into a list? We want to add that uppercase name to the empty list here of names in uppercase. So what do we do? So let me give you some time to think about it. So what do you do if you want to add something into another list? So you say names, you call the list, you want to do something great, and then when you press dot, you can see we have the dot append. We have, these are methods that are available on lists. Okay, so these are methods that are, you have the copy, count, extend, pop, So pop is for removing. We have the remove, the reverse, we have the sort, but we have this special method that is called append. Append adds an item. So if we hover here, you can see append object to the end of the list. So this one will append this, whatever we give it, to the end of the list. So we append the uppercased name. So what will happen? So this one will come for name in names. In the first iteration, the name will be John. So we assign this variable John dot uppercase, which give us John in uppercase format. Then we call our empty list and append this uppercase name. We have said the append adds an item at the end of the list. So John will be added into this list. Okay, pretty simple. Then after the for loop, we can print names in uppercase and see whatever we get here. So you can see, I hope everyone is seeing what is happening. We can see we got our list in uppercase format. All of them are uppercase. So that's where list comprehensions come into play. You can see here we have 3 lines, and so these are just 3 lines, and this is a lot of code, and it's pretty common in programming. It's a pretty common programming paradigm. So we do this type of programming all the time, and so Python came up with a really handy shortcut for it to do a list comprehension. So to do a list comprehensions, you start with the list syntax. So what is a list syntax? So a list syntax is basically square brackets, and then so we want to create names underscore in uppercase, then we add comprehension. Hey, this one is too large, so we can say comprehension c underscore no, can say c underscore names upper. So we want to create a comprehension. So a comprehension basically returns a list. So we can assign that. Let me first remove this. So to create a list comprehension is start with square brackets, and then we have this syntax, which is expression for item in items. So let me comment out this, not that. So we start with the expression for item in items. So let's go through this slow by slow and see whatever we are doing here. So we have said we have the action. So we have the action. So let me go back here. So a list comprehension has 3 parts. So you have the action, expression, and condition. So let me move this action, and then the expression. So this one is the expression, and then the condition. So what does that mean? So basically what I tend to do myself, because if you are new to list comprehension, this one is hard to wrap your head around. So the first thing I start with is the expression. What expression do we need? So for name in names, this is our expression for name in names. This is the same like this one. This is the same for name in names. Okay, so for name in names, that's our expression. Then we go back and we want the action. What should be returned? What should we want? What do we want from for name in names? We want in the first item we did names dot, we uppercased the name. But let's try capitalizing the name. So by capitalizing we want to, so by capitalizing, let me show you capitalizing. So by capitalizing we take John and then return John in capitalized format. So we make the first letter of that name to be capitalized. So in our list comprehension, what do we want? We have our name. So if we do for name in names, now in this list comprehension, we have access to the name. In each item in a list, we have access to the name. So we have names here, but now at the time we say for name in names, so this one will grab each item Now, so the first iteration name will be John. So we have access to John in this list. So this one is what we call a list comprehension. So what can we do with John? We can simply return John without doing anything, and that is the syntax of list comprehensions. So we can print this or store it in a variable. We can simply print it. We can print this. So let's say, okay, so what did we get? So this one is for our first loop. You can see here we have at line 14, we have a print that is printing the names in uppercase format. We got that, but now we switched to a list comprehension. So a list comprehension returns a list, takes in some list, not some list, it takes in some iterable. An iterable is like an object that you can go through, you can iterate through. So what are we doing here? So we are saying for each name, let's say it's like for each. So anyone who has done JavaScript, this one is basically the same. You can see just the same. So we this one runs at each time in each. It runs at a specific list in each item. So for the first item we get John. So the name will contain John, and then we have access to the name. So the first part is the action. We have the second part is the condition, and then we have the expression, then the condition. We can do things. Now here we have access to the name. We can do something with the name. We can say name dot. We can say name dot. Can say, let's say something like, let's say capitalize. So you can do anything you want from there on. You can see now the James, Brian, and Doe, they are capitalized. Okay, we can do everything we want from this name. We can grab the first item in this name and return that. You can see we got JJBB. We can calculate the length of that name and return that. So we can say length of name. So you can see. So for each iteration, you have access to each item, and then whatever the action is happening, this is what will be returned in this list, and that's what will be stored. So I hope I've demystified what that is. I've really tried to explain thoroughly what is happening here. You can do everything you want here from the name. So let's say we just want the name. So we got our name. Okay, let me comment out this one. Maybe it is bringing some errors. No problem. So we got our names. Okay. Now we go to the third part. The third part is the expression. Maybe you want to return all the names that start with the letter J. So we have two names that start with the letter J. We can, now here's where we write our logic. So we can say if name dot starts with, so we want name to start with J. Okay. So we say name for name, if name dot starts with J, so name dot start with J. If name dot starts with J, so we had a problem here that this one was outside our loop. So whatever we want, so the third part is the condition. So you have second part, first part, and then the third part, which is the condition. So we are saying give us the name if the name contains J. So let's see what we get. We got John and James. So in a list comprehension, we have three parts. We have the action, expression, and the condition. So that's your takeaway home. We have the expression, the action, expression, and yeah. We can create a new list comprehension here so that you can understand. Let's say numbers is equals to, say 1, 2, no, 3, 7, 60, and then 43. So to create a list comprehension that Let's say we want to create a list comprehension that squares the numbers. So this is what we want in our nini. This is what we want. We want squares of these numbers. So 9, 25, then 3600, and then the square of 43. Okay. So what do? We said to create, so we can say numbers num underscore squared. Num underscore squared is equals to, we start with the brackets and then we start with our expression. So for number in numbers, so that's our, then you go all the way to the beginning and then say whatever you want. So at the beginning we have access to the number, so to check it is working we can start with the number. Can say give us the number, then print start out. So we can print numbers squared. Okay, so no, we didn't square them, but we returned the number. We have access to the number. You can do everything you want to the number. We can say number times number. So that's simply squaring it. You can see we got it. We got whatever you wanted. Maybe you wanted to square only the numbers that are divisible by 2. Yeah. Where do we add that? We add that in the codation block. Okay. So we add that in the codation. What is like a limit? What if this codation passes? Then do this to our number. So we can say, how do you get if a number is divisible by another number? Use the modulus. Use the modulus syntax. To use the modulus syntax. So let me show you. I can show you really quick here. Okay, so I'm in an interactive shell of Python. So we can say 10 modulus 2. We get 0. 11 modulus 2. We get 1. Okay. What is happening? Okay. 13 modulus 2. What's happening? Oh, indentation. Okay, no problem. 13 modulus 2. We got 1. So this, a modulus is a remainder. So if a number is divisible by another number, its modulus is 0. So you can say 4 modulus 2. What will remain if we divide 4 by 2? 0. So we can use this concept. So we can use this concept. So we can use this concept in our numbers to get the even number. So how do we check for an even number? So we say if number modulus 2 is equals to 0. Okay, I hope you are understanding what I'm doing here. So the first thing we said is our action. What do you want to do? What do you want? The second part we're talking about the expression, and then the third part is the condition. So here we are saying if a number is divisible by 2, then give us the square of the number. So let's see what we get here. Okay, that's nice. So we got a single number because here only 60 is divisible by 2. Okay, yeah. So guys, that's it for list comprehensions. If you have any question with list comprehensions, just basically know that whenever you reach to this point, you have access to the number. You can do anything you want to the number. Okay, yes. So that's it. And to finalize on this, I have a quiz here for us to do. I have a quiz, and what is the quiz talking about? So this quiz is talking about find all the numbers from 1 to 1000 that have 6 in them. Okay, yeah. So this is what I'll give you some minutes, and then you can try tackling this and then come back and give you a solution. Okay, hope guys you found a solution to this problem. So let's tackle it all of us. So find all the numbers from 1 to 1000 that have a 6 in them. Okay, find all the numbers that are over 6 in them. You count them. So we want to start with the list comprehension. So Okay, so we start with our brackets and say what do we want. So we say for number in. Now we have a special function to get in Python that gives us a range of numbers, gives us a range of numbers. So which function is that? That function is called the range. So we can say range. So let me get back here into the interactive share and show you what the range is. So if we say range of 4, if we say range, what if we try to print range around? So you can say, hey, range expected at least one argument and got 0. So let me clear this terminal very fast. So the range function, you give it a value. What happens when you give the range a value? Okay, so the range with just one number will go up to that number. So if we say range of 4, okay, so if we say range of 4, it will give us a range object. So it will give us a range object which is an iterable. Okay, so the range, if you give it a number, a single number, it will go up to that. It will give you a range object, and then if we call, let me show you this. So range of 4, we want a list from the range. So this is what a range gives us. So the range object, so I used a list, I converted the range object into a list so that we can visualize what is going on. So if you give the range a single number, so it will go up to that number, but not inclusive of that number. So you can see we gave it 4 and we went up to 3. So if you give a range a single number, it goes up to that single number, but exclusive of that number. So if we give a range 2 numbers, so if we give a range 1, 2 to 4, what do you expect us to get? Guys, what do you expect us to get? So if we give a range 2 numbers, so the first number we give it is the starting point. Okay, so let me use the list here so that we can visualize. So we give it, let's say 2 to 4. What do you expect us to get? So we got, it starts from that number you give it. So that's it. You tell it this is the starting point. This is the starting point we are going to start. Okay, so I know you're wondering why am I using the list. So I'm using the list to convert the range into a list so that we can visualize it. But a range is just a range object. Okay, that's right. So I hope I'm not confusing anyone. So yeah, so the range, you can give it a third argument. So we can say a list of range of 2 to 10. Now we want to give it a third. What happened here? So 2 to 10. Let me see. So let me clear this one very fast. So we can say list. I'm using a list here to convert the range into a list. So don't worry. So we can say we want to go from 3 to 10. So the third argument is called the step. So how do you want to step? Maybe you want to jump 2 numbers, maybe you want to jump 3 numbers. So count where you start, jump twice, go. Let's say we want to jump twice. So you see from 3, count twice, 3, 4, 5. So 3, 4, and then give us the 5. So it is jumping over 2 numbers, 1, 2, and then giving us that number. So I hope I'm not confusing anyone here. So let me exit out of here, clear this, and then go back to. So this is our question. Find all the numbers from 1 to 1000 that have 6 in them. Okay, so what do? We have just talked about this. So we give it our starting, then give it our ending. But now we won't use 1000. We have seen that the second argument or the ending argument is exclusive, so it won't be included. So if we say up to 1001, it will go up to 1000, exclusive of the second argument. Okay, So just to test out everything is working like we expect, we can print the number, but this is a very long number. So let's test out with 100. Then you can say numbers up to so I'm a fan of writing descriptive variable names. So that's why in any case, someone else comes and checks my code 10 years later, you know what I was doing. So you have to be descriptive. We didn't print that. So print up to 100. So you can see we got a list with 100. So you can see here we have 100 because the ending number is exclusive, and then we have 1. So we can get back to our 1000 here. So we currently have our number. We want to check if a number is containing 6 in 8. So here we can see like 26 has 6. We should count that. So we are counting. Okay. But we have a problem. We don't have a way of counting numbers in Python. Like we cannot say like, let's say num is equals to 30. There is no method that says contains, like number contains this or that. So what do? You have to convert that number into a string. You have the number. How do we convert a number into a string? We call this str method in it. So we call the str method. So let me return it to 100. I don't want to print a lot of things here. So what do we get here? We get strings, okay? And then why are we getting strings? Strings have a method of checking if another string is inside it, okay? If you are getting me what I'm saying, let me go back to the shell. So Python, then I can clear this terminal. Can clear this again, okay? So let's say we have an S3. No, we can say simply like 6. Bear in mind, in numbers, we don't have a method of numbers. We don't have a method to check a number if it contains another number. So we have to convert both those numbers into strings. That's why I'm using 6 as a string. So we can say 6 in another string that like 26. We get true. What if we do 6 in 26? Okay. An integer is not iterable. Okay. Because when we say if a number is inside another number, we need to iterate through that number. But we cannot iterate through numbers. Okay. Yes. I hope that is alright. So we can say if we say 30, we can say 6 in 30. False. So we can use this. We can use this to accomplish our task at hand. And that's what we are going to do. So we are going up to 1000. So we are going step by step. So the first step we did is to get those numbers, convert them into strings, and then we can say we have converted that into a string. Then we can say 6 in that specific string. Okay. Just to recap what I've done. So I want to recap what I've done now. So we are saying is 6 in, let's say we have a number like 30. So what are we doing here? We first convert the number we get from the range function. So we saw that the range function gives us numbers that we gives us an iterable. Okay. To give us something we can iterate on, and then it is giving us numbers. So at each number we take that number and convert it into a string. Okay. That one maps directly into this one. It will convert it to something like this, and then we use our string against that number, which is a string. Okay. Let me stop. Let me print 100 like the way I used to. I don't want to print a lot of things. I don't want to print. So we can say python app.py. What's happening? Oh, I misspelled app.py. So you can see we got statements. Because let's start with one. This one was one. A 6 in 1, no. A 2 in 1. A 6 in 2, no. A 6 in 3. A 6 in 4. A 6 in 5. A 6 in 6. We got a true. Okay. So this one is for 100. Okay. So what do we need to do? We need to limit these numbers so that we can only get the numbers that are, we can only get whatever is true there in the list comprehension. So what do? We go to our condition. Okay. So we say if we take this condition, so we say, so we can remove this. So we don't have an action currently, but we can return the, do we return the number? Yeah, we can return the number. It's no problem. So we have removed the expression, the action, such that we only get the numbers that are have 6 in them. So what am I doing? I want to repeat this again. This is our expression. This one gives us a range object, which is the numbers from the starting point to the ending point, excluding the ending point. Then we have a condition that is saying if a string 6 is present in a string, we convert the number into a string. So if this one is true, that means we get our number. Okay. Remember now this number is an integer, but this condition is the one that is filtering them out. So let me print this one. Yeah, we got the numbers that have 6 in them. So I hope you guys can get me. I hope you are getting me because I'm really trying to explain these concepts such that I demystify whatever is happening. So this is our condition. Okay. This is our condition. So any number that passes this condition, give us that number. Okay. Give us that number. You can see we got the number. Even if we say up to 1000 now, I don't think there will be more. So if we do this, now we get up to 1000. But what is the question asking us to do? Find all the numbers from 10 that have 6 in them. We found all the numbers. Okay? But we can still do something. We can say, we can put the length of that up to. You can see how many numbers are inside there. So to make it simple and easy to understand, we got that we only have 271 numbers from 1 to 1000 that have 6 in them. We answered our question. So if you don't understand anything about list comprehension, make sure to leave that in the comment section. Okay, so just to recap, what you have learned is that we have a range object that gives us a range, and then we have to convert that so that we can check, and whichever number that passes this one is the number we will get here. So I said in this list comprehension we have access to this number. You can do anything you want from the number. You can multiply the number, you can do anything, you can do complex things, you can call a function on a number. Let's just do that. So we can create a function square num takes in a number and then returns number times number, not return. So we can call this one here. So we can call square num and give it our number. We still have our number. You can do whatever thing you want to the number, but here we won't print the length. We can just print, let's just go up to 100. So we can, what are we doing here? We are calling a function in that number. In this function you can have complex things. You can do complex things, you can do calculations, you can do whatever thing you want, but what matters, so the first number from 1 to 100 that contains 6 is 6. Then our function does something to that function, to that number, and squares it. We can do anything you want here. So guys, that's it for today. Hope you did understand what I was talking about. I've really tried to explain. Thank you, and if you have explained anything, well, leave that subscribe to this channel and you'll get more tutorials on Python. Thank you and have a good day.